Welcome, welcome everybody. This is Anthony here from SACC. SACC is Student Athlete Coaching and Consulting. Today we have a very special guest, Seif Roushdy. Seif, how are you today?
I'm good, Coach. Thanks so much for having me. Very happy to be on. Excited. Looking forward to our chat.
Yeah, me too. Seif, it's been a while. It's really good to see you, and it's nice to hear your voice. Could you maybe tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to, and where you're from, and I think you have a very unique story to share with everybody. So please just let the conversation kind of flow. Tell everybody where you're from, what you're about, what you're doing, and we'll see where the conversation goes.
All right. So hi everyone. My name is Seif Roushdy. I'm 22 years old and I'm a professional football player from Egypt. I've known Coach Anthony since I've been in 7th grade, I think. We met back when he was coaching in Rome.
You were a young lad, eager.
Very, very young, yeah. Young, ambitious, both of us, I think. And he's really guided me throughout my career to where I am now. I now play for a club called the Tout FC in Egypt. A club that was newly founded last year. It's currently in the 4th division. I just recently signed there. Very, very excited. Thank you. Very excited to get started, to help the team hopefully win the league and get promoted, and make a name for myself hopefully.
Yeah, that's really cool, and congratulations on your more recent signing. I from when we spoke a little bit about you're a little bit happier in this spot. And I think what we're going to do is kind of get to how you arrived where you're currently at. And that's the really interesting part that I'd love for people to kind of hear. But so you were born in Egypt?
I was born in Cairo, yes. But I've lived a little bit all around the world. My dad's a diplomat, so I've lived in Egypt, Geneva, and Switzerland, Rome. I've lived in Brazil, and then I went to university in Canada. Lived in the States for a few months, in Jersey, playing professional soccer, and then I'm back home now. Home.
Was that the order? Was it like Egypt and then you went to Switzerland after that and then Rome?
Yeah.
Is that how it happened?
Switzerland and then back to Egypt, then Rome, then back to Egypt, then Brazil. Then from Brazil, I went to Canada, the States, back here.
All right, let's go ages. So you're born in Cairo or around Cairo, and then how long did you live in Cairo for? And did you play football there as a youngster?
No, very, very young. I actually didn't like soccer in my early years. I wasn't too much into the running or any real physical exercise. Wasn't much for it. Didn't like the feeling of my lungs burning after I sprinted or any of that. Until one day I was just playing with my cousins in the garden, and I don't know, I just thought, you know what, maybe I like it a little bit, and it carried on from there. But early ages, there was nothing really, no real focus on it or that the idea that I wanted to go pro. It came more when I was in Italy, that I started really, okay, this is actually what I want to do, and started working towards it.
That's awesome. So nothing in Switzerland either. So what age did you move to Switzerland?
I don't even remember. I must have been 5 or 6 years old, I think.
Still
I would play young. Super young. I'd play at school, but no competitive soccer, soccer academy at school. I'd go and just kick the ball around. Nothing serious, nothing in my head. Really. Didn't even watch soccer much back then, but the more I grew, the more I fell in love with it.
And then, so you're in Switzerland, and when did you move to Rome? How old were you when you moved to Rome?
I was in 5th grade when I moved to Rome.
5th grade, so probably that 10, 11 years old? Probably
Yeah.
around
So
there.
between Switzerland and Rome was when I first started like really like practicing for soccer. I think Barcelona had. Sorry.
When you went to Rome, that's when you started.
Just before Rome. So
Okay.
when I was back in Egypt, before we went to Rome, Barcelona had like a soccer school academy here in Egypt, which everyone was enrolled in. It was a pay-to-play thing, but that's where I really, started to take it seriously, go to practices, want to do well, and then came Rome, and that's where it really, I guess, took off for me in terms of meeting you, uh, the right people. You know, as I'm sure we'll get into a bit later,
Yeah.
being around that high school team, just surrounding myself with people that made me better at the sport and made me like it even more. Um, so yeah.
Do you remember when Barcelona came to Egypt and they did that little camp
Yeah.
or situation with? Do you remember what that was like?
Yeah, I think that was. I was the soccer school, like the academy, they took us to the hotel to meet the players, and so I because they were playing, I think, the next night against Al Ahli, which is the club that I support. It's the club. Um, it's the biggest club in Africa. They just won the African Championship, and they just played against Bayern Munich in the Club World Cup like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So they were playing a friendly against them, and so we went to the hotel to see the Barcelona players. I think it was Ronaldinho at the time. Frank Rijkaard was the manager. A crazy excitement. I remember I remember this so well as well. Like took the day off school. We went to the hotel from very early in the morning before they arrived, and we were just chilling in the lobby. And then we all sort of gathered around as the players went in. And then I went to the stadium to see the game as well the next day, and it was just like a crazy experience, seeing players like that. And yeah, it's
So that
insane.
is it safe to say that kind of got you excited a little bit?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then how was the coaching? Was the coaching, good coaching and bad coaching at this point in time? Is the coaching something that stood out to you as being a positive and maybe influencing you to kind of pursue this a
Absolutely,
little bit more?
absolutely. I think the head of the school was Spanish. So he's someone who came from Europe, someone who had professional experience. I think he worked at some point with Barcelona, the actual team, and so he was there. He was overseeing things. From what I remember, obviously I was very young, but I remember really enjoying going to training. Really enjoying going to the games. I think it was a really good environment, and I remember that stage being very important in me and my confidence as a player from a very young age,
Mm,
and to me improving my skills, which would I guess at that age you're kind of building the base.
yeah.
um, so yeah, I'm very it was very
Okay.
good for sure. Yeah.
And then after you went home to Egypt, and then from there you moved to Rome. And I think you
Yeah.
said fifth grade you would move to Rome.
Fifth grade, I moved to Rome. At which point, God, I was so excited to move, just because after that little Barcelona academy part, I was set on going to Italy and playing football. Obviously, I think at that time Serie A was quite dominant as well. The
Yeah, that
Italian
was
teams.
2009, 10. Is that Inter? Is that the Inter
Yeah,
super team
yeah. It
that
was
like
the
won
Inter team, and
everything, right?
yeah, I think it was just after maybe a year or two after AC Milan had won the Champions League as well. Um, so we were right there, and so I was super excited. And I remember as soon as I arrived, I think I played for a club, but I can't even remember the name. I can't remember the name. I played a little bit.
You were up La Casia, right? Weren't you
Yeah,
up
yeah, yeah.
playing? Was it La Storta?
No, no, no. The club I wasn't on the Cassia. The club I can't remember, coach. To be honest with you, but I remember I was a striker, and a long way away from where I am now. But I was a
Like an out
striker,
and out center striker, like a nine?
uh,
No,
and I was
is that where you were playing?
yeah, I was a striker back then. Striker, left winger, and I was quite good. Like I remember scoring goals, and then I got a trial for Lazio,
Hmm.
and I did quite well, and I was there for a few months, but I wasn't getting any game time, and I was really really young, and so at which point my parents were like, okay, maybe forget the name of the club right now. You're not playing.
Some reps.
Yeah, you need to at this age you need to play. And I cried and I threw a tantrum, and I'm like, I've made it, and I'm like, oh, we're at this club, and you know and obviously Lazio, like, it's one of the biggest clubs in Italy, a big club in Europe. So I was very I had never seen like that professionalism at that age ever. So the way they were training, how the training was every single day, how serious they took it from such a young age, and I was so excited. But I at the time I just wasn't good enough to be a key player in that team, and so um, in the end it was for the best, no, to leave.
Yeah, at a young age, you go through that whole, um, experience of um, disappointment
Yeah,
and, um, kind of like a slap in the face, so to speak.
yeah,
And then the good part starts, right? The good part of now I've got to dust myself off, I've got to get back up, and I've got to move on. And
for
then,
sure.
if I'm going to do this, I've got to work hard at it, and maybe I'll come back to this club and play, and then show them that I'm a little bit more ready.
Absolutely. And obviously when you're that young, like you said, 11 years old or 12 years old, God, I remember coming home like that night from training, and my mom and I cried the whole car ride going home, and I thought like it was the end of the world and everything. And then 2 months later, I was at another club, and things were good, and everything, life moves on, and yeah, like you said, you just improve, you work hard. At that young age, your mind doesn't really um, process it that way, but it's still you still go through the same stuff when you're 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
At this time when you're just starting your career, it's always you're always coming back from some sort of setback. I've found
Yeah,
to
this is the
improve.
good stuff, and this is like one of the first ones that you've experienced at a
Yeah,
young age. Um, and I feel like there's so much here to kind of get into,
yeah,
and just share. But that's our fuel. Like what
hmm
happened to you there is a beautiful thing, and at the time you didn't necessarily see that, but you now as an adult know that it's part
yeah.
of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, your career is not going to be over at 11 years old. I can
Yeah,
guarantee you that.
yeah.
So yeah, it's just a matter of you get over it. Like most things in life, you get over it. I think
We're going
I
to
think
share this with 11-year-olds because, I mean, we're in this every day. We see 10 and 11-year-olds get disappointed all the time.
yeah,
And, it could come in practice if you're running like a conditioned game and you lose, or if it's a match day on a Sunday and it doesn't go the way you want it to, or you miss a sitter, or you
hmm
make a mistake that leads to a goal against you. There's all sorts of things that I see as a coach at young
yeah,
ages. And, I think it's that those types of things are good. They don't think so at the time, but you know, they are good things, and they are development pieces, and they're it's not like they lost as long as they could change that perspective and just turn it into a positive and learn from those experiences. Then it becomes again fuel.
for sure. I think disappointment. I mean, not just in your football career, but in anything you're gonna do ever. Um, Especially in professional sports, I find, because the world is very like this in our profession. I think you can't go through it without failing, without having some sort of disappointment. I think you just have to, I think it's, I don't think it's a bad thing to be disappointed and to be hurt by it. It shows that you care. If you had a subpar performance and, and you go home and you're all smiley and all that, maybe, maybe you should feel a little bit of disappointment, but there's a difference between being disappointed and giving up on something or losing confidence, or, just giving up on yourself. I think even to this day, whenever I lose a game or something, it's, even if it's a friendly or I don't play well or I have a bad training session, I'm still miserable. Like, I'm not fun to be around. But the difference is, okay, that means I need to bounce back tomorrow. I need to be better tomorrow. What happened today, which made me perform like this? What happened today that made us lose, and how can we correct it so we don't feel this feeling again?
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing.
All right, so let's get into Rome here in a little bit about what went on in the development there. Just a little bit of background. I met Seif when I moved to Rome in 2009, and I moved to Rome to teach at the American Overseas School of Rome. Shout out to AOSR and the boys soccer team there.
Yeah.
Pro Falcons. No dream is too big. And that's a journey in itself that maybe we can kind of dive into a little bit. But so yeah, and I was out there playing baseball and things like that. School comes up to me and says, "Hey, we need a coach for the boys soccer team. Are you in?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I think, like, were you in my class at the time? I was teaching math in that
class,
year that I was there. Were you in my 7th grade math class?
I think so, yeah.
Or was it 8th grade? Or was it 8th grade when in pre-algebra?
Pre-algebra, definitely. I don't know if
I remember in 8th grade.
Yeah, I remember 8th grade.
That's actually a funny story too, but
yeah,
yeah. 7th grade, no. So we had, who do we have in our 7th grade class? I want to think, like, I think Ashton she was in your 8th grade class, right?
Yeah. I don't remember. Honestly, coach, math classes weren't very memorable for me, so I don't remember.
Okay, so definitely 8th grade. I honestly think I met you on the pitch. All right, so it's like early in the season. I'm walking out. I got like ball bag, equipment stuff. The lads are out on the field. I remember this so vividly. You were standing at the top of the stairs before you walked down to the field, and we had a conversation that day. Do you remember that conversation?
I don't remember exactly. I remember what you were talking about. I don't remember exactly the conversation, but I remember wanting to be a part of it somehow, because a lot of the high school players were my friends as well. We used to play 5-a-side on the weekends.
You had already been there for 2 years, right? 5th grader. Yeah. Now you're a 7th grader, so you know the kids in the school. And this is a kindergarten through 12th grade school, just to give everybody a little bit of background. American Overseas School of Rome. Okay.
Yeah, and so I was good friends with a lot of the players. I looked up to a lot of the players. I used to watch the varsity team. I used to watch them practice. I'd go to their games. I watch it all the time. And so I was just kind of standing there. I think before you took the job, I think we were Italian coaches. I didn't speak Italian well at the time, so I didn't really speak with them. I just kind of watched from a distance. And then when you were there, I remember, I wanted to be a part of it so bad. I think, didn't I end up being like the ball boy for a period of time and just hanging around practice?
Well, that's what I remember from the conversation. It was like, and this is beautiful. Like, if there's whoever's watching this, please, this is so important. Guys, if you want to do something, you just have to ask and insert yourself. I would say it like that. And that's what Seif did, guys. If he doesn't remember, I'm just going to tell you. He was standing at the top of the staircase that walks down into the field. And really, he just said, "Can I help?" As simple as that. Can I help? And I was like, yes. So I bring Seif with me, and this is like, we didn't really know each other. I didn't in math class in 7th. I'm pretty sure. This is like one of our first interactions. I just want to be a part of this, coach. Can I come and help? And I think we had you like helping out with some of the balls and like just kind of like being a figure in the practice and and helping, right? Like whatever we
For
needed
sure.
help with, you were there.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what you remember?
Yeah, that's what I remember really well. You know, and for me it was such a nice thing. I remember I used to skip some of my practices so that I could be around the team. I just loved the guys. I respected them so much. They were all super good with me. Most of them took me under their wing through those years. You know, we had a very good relationship. Obviously, my relationship with you grew as well, and it was something that um, you know, I think that period in Rome was probably the catalyst for me. Just to, you know, at that early age, to want to you know, just to better myself and, you know, pick up good habits and see how good people, because that team was very good for a high school soccer team.
Okay. Very
Like
good.
a lot of those players were top players. Like they played for like high level clubs. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And you know, they were all, you know, most of them, I saw them, you know, not as high school kids, but most of them were like men. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
you know, they were big personalities as well, big leaders in there.
Personalities.
So yeah, so I just loved being around it, and I think I learned so much. I think the base of my mentality and my attitude towards the game, um, the base of it was there, because before it was just I'm playing soccer and I enjoy this, versus when I was with you. You know, I remember also on your free days you held little workouts which I would come to afterwards, and we'd work on certain things. And then on Sundays we had the Italia Select, which I would come to and play with the
Oh,
older
yeah,
kids
those are the
and
games.
stuff like that.
Just
Just
show up and play.
yeah, just non-stop like football, you know. So it was
So that's really interesting, and I think that's important. Safe, you still with me here? Let's see. Safe, you still here, buddy?
yeah. Sorry, coach. I don't know what happened there.
That's all good. It might be my internet too.
Yeah.
So, so this is really interesting. So you're playing in Rome. You have your club team. Were they doing middle school soccer at the school yet, or no?
Yeah, they were doing it. It just wasn't very
Did
good.
you participate in that program too?
I participated in it for a little bit, and I was like, "Nah, this isn't for me."
You're done. Yeah.
Like,
So
yeah,
you found it more meaningful to play with your club team, and here's what's beautiful. You felt like you talked about the like being present in our practice and knowing some of the guys. You've commented on their quality, but just being there, you felt was more beneficial for you and your growth than maybe even attending one of your club practices. So,
yeah,
and I'm new, right? Like, you know, I just want to go on record and saying, like, when I walked into the school in 2009, 2010, this is already a very good soccer team with good soccer players, strong leaders, and to be fair and quite honest, like incredible people. Like,
mhm.
Safe, when you think about the people that you've met in the world in various places, think about those 20 boys that were on that soccer team in 2010 and 2011 and what they were about, right? Like, so I'm assuming that that's why you chose to come to those practices, just because of who was there and what was going on.
Yeah, for sure. And also, you know, I remember some practices you also let me, you know, chip in in certain parts, and you know, I just felt that, you know, if you were missing a player, and even though I was really young, um, you know, they were all very open with me. They were very welcoming. Um, you know, they were my friends. I think part of it was I didn't speak Italian very well, so I didn't have that relationship with the players at my club team yet. And so, you know, sometimes I just felt more comfortable around the guys at school. Um, and you know, I think, you know, you want to talk about a winning, you know, positive environment. I
Jeez.
mean, I don't think it gets, you know, more. I mean, we went to the, you know, I think we won the European championship that year, no? And
That's
then
yeah.
we went to the Gothia Cup, and they competed well with a lot of really good teams
Mm.
from around the world. I think it just goes to show. I think compliments to you as well. I don't think that happens without, you know, without a coach like you, and the players. I think you know, I think I learned something from every single one of them,
Oh my God.
even though I wasn't like consciously thinking about it. Okay, I'm gonna go and learn this today, or I'm gonna observe this player, or whatever. I think just being around was very beneficial.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I learned so much from that group. I learned so much from the individuals and the people. And you have to figure, like, also at that time, I'm in like some of the best shape of my life. So I'm
yeah,
confident as well in myself because I'm feeling good. I'm fit. That said, the experience that I've had as a student athlete, like I'm going in with all sorts of confidence. But there was times like I'll never forget this. I remember our first match.
hmm
Um, and I think we're on a bus to Vicenza,
yeah,
which was one of our tougher matches, I think, in league play. And overall, when I was a coach in the school, like one of our, just tougher matches. And, we're on the bus ride and, the suspense is building. I'm writing like, 15 million different permutations for lineups and stuff like that. I remember Bassetti, Coach Bassetti, former player,
yeah,
and then came on to work with me as an assistant coach. He's
yeah,
like, like, what are you thinking? I was like, Coach, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I'm nervous. Like,
yeah,
he's like, Coach, he's like, don't worry about it. Everything's gonna be okay. And I'm like,
yeah. Just relax.
I'm like, are you sure? Like everything's. And then we're out there. We get there. I remember like we trained a little bit the night just to move around, long bus ride. So we're moving around the night before, and then we go out the next day, and then we play. Like before first whistle, I'm like, holy shit! Like I'm nervous, And then coach
Yeah,
is like, Bassetti again was like, he's like, Coach, he's like, Vicenza's good. He's like, but don't worry about it. We're
yeah,
fine. He's like, this is Rome. He's like, I need you to think Roman Empire right now. I need
yeah,
you to think a band of brothers that's ready to go. He's like, just be easy. He's like, everything's gonna be okay. And I don't remember which one was our first, who got the first goal. It might have
yeah,
been Julio Dennis. Do you remember Julio?
yeah,
I don't know if he got the first one or if Giacomo got it, but we get the first one within like, I don't know, like 20, 25 minutes. And then from there, once we got our first goal, I was like, okay. And then I began to kind of like believe in what Lorenzo was telling me a little bit more, what Bassetti was saying. And then
yeah,
like, the ball stops like 20, 25 yards out from frame. And, Giacomo, kind of tees it
yeah,
up a little bit, sets it up, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good opportunity. And he hits this like vicious knuckleball that like finds the back of the net, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, like
yeah, yeah,
2-0, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I'm like,
yeah,
like here we go,
yeah,
and then I think we ended up winning like 4-0 that day. And then I
yeah,
just reflected on it, and I remember Lorenzo telling me it's going to be okay. And
yeah.
from that moment, I started to gain confidence in our group and the individuals a little bit more.
hmm
But, what a team, man, and what
Yeah,
an atmosphere.
yeah. Huge group.
So let's keep going here. We had the school team. You were around. You were training with your club,
hmm
and then we created uh, Italia Select Academy,
Yeah,
and that gave you another experience to kind of interact not just with people living in Rome, but people living all throughout Italy,
yeah,
playing in our middle school circuit, and we got connected with ODP Europe. We went on a
hmm
couple tournaments. We went to Germany for Michael Grendel, and then we did the Rome tournament. Right, there was like football for Africa.
Africa.
Remember
Yeah,
that tournament? You remember
yeah,
that tournament? And
yeah,
then we did, of course, Gothia Cup in 2012.
yeah.
That gave you again another opportunity to interact with people, not just
hmm
from Italy or Egypt or wherever, but from like all over the world, right? So like football is a game. It's the same game, but it's played a little bit differently in other places. So
Everywhere.
um,
Yeah.
can you comment a little bit on your experience playing in different places? So at this point, you've played in Egypt um, a little bit with Barcelona camp, maybe a little bit in Switzerland. Then you went home, and now you're in Italy and you're playing there. So you're getting this experience of football in different places. Um,
Yeah.
and then you're going to move to Canada to go to college, and then you're in Jersey, and then Brazil's in
Brazil.
there too, right?
Brazil. Yeah.
Brazil. All
And
right,
then back
so
to Egypt.
let's just kind of like comment a little bit on your experience playing in different countries and how that might have contributed to what you learned and who you are and what you're about as a
I
player?
think I think it's everything. I think everywhere I've been has required a different kind of player. So I think the biggest thing I noticed about, for instance, being in the States, playing competitive amateur soccer in Canada, is just how physical it is up there. I think just because the culture there, kids will grow up playing hockey, track and field, soccer, and then they'll go into baseball, basketball, American football as well. So they're phenomenal athletes, and the game is very physical. It's very fast. It's very intense, and also with the technique. So I think when I first got to Jersey, it was my first sort of step into the professional game. I didn't really know what to expect, but it was quite intense. I think the training sessions were very a lot of just 11v11s, just go and play, but the intensity of it was very high. Some of the players, like, physique was quite frightening, I have to say, just because, like, I didn't start weightlifting till I was like 15, 16, right? And so I didn't, the gym aspect only came like very, very much later for me. And so I had to adapt to that. And then you move to Brazil, and it's really very, very much the opposite. So in the States, I felt technically on the ball I was quite comfortable. I felt I didn't lose the ball very often. I felt I often made the right decisions. Um, same as in Canada, where I was okay. Maybe I had to be a little bit more aggressive on the field to make up for lack of strength or speed or whatever. Versus when I went to Brazil, I felt, because I had spent that time there, physically I was very, very comfortable, fitness wise, strength wise. Whereas technically, I'm thinking, oh my god, like, okay, this is something that needs to improve. And then
same game, mind you. This is the same game we all love. Yep.
yeah, for sure.
Brilliant.
And then
Good stuff.
you come back to Egypt, and it's a little bit of a mix of both. Here it's more, certain positions are, much more physical and much more aggressive, things like that, versus other players are very, there's a good mix in there here. I think different positions are played very differently as well. When I went to Brazil, I was playing for a fourth division club. I think I was 17 at the time, so I was playing for the U18s and the U20s. And I just remember my first my first friendly game, and I was playing left back. I don't know if you've mentioned it, but I'm a left back and center back now, no longer a striker. But I was playing at left back, and so we were playing a 4-2-3-1, and the two wingers, like in the three, were inverted, and so when we were pressing,
the 7 and the 11, like the front runners.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, were very inverted, and so the whole game it was just me against the right back.
Yeah.
So when I was pressing and we're pressing high, I'm pressing their fullback.
Oh wow.
And when I received the ball very high, and the whole flank is just mine, and then I think, okay, that makes sense why Brazilian fullbacks, your Marcelos, your Dani Alves, these people are just bombing forward all the time, right? Versus before, when I in Egypt, if we're playing a difficult game or something, and I'm playing a left back, coach tells me, okay, first like 15-20 minutes, don't even cross the halfway line. You know what I mean? So it's very, it's very different. Also, like, so for instance, in Brazil, it's very much technical type. We play up from the back. We don't take risks in our half. Once we get in the other side, you do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
Versus in the States, you saw a lot of cross-field diagonals to quick wingers, a very direct play. and then an instant transition into defending. It just, lots of things, but it makes you, I think it's made me more well-rounded as a player,
Yes.
and more intelligent. And I think the biggest thing I can say about this right now is wherever you go, the higher in level you get, the more well-rounded the players are. So if you're playing on your high school team and you're the fastest guy there, and so you're neglecting your technical training or your gym training just because you can sprint past everyone, I can guarantee you that at the next phase you won't be able to do that.
Yeah.
You get to a stage now where everyone's fast, everyone's quick, everyone's strong, everyone's talented, everyone has a good touch, everyone has everything, right?
Yeah.
So you need to be well-rounded, and I think
Yeah.
traveling to different places has certainly helped me with that.
Yeah. I mean, you're still a younger player. How old are you, Safe?
22.
Yeah. So young lad, when your coach approaches you and says, uh, I want you to be the left center back in a 3-back set, no problem. I want you to be the left back in a 4-back set. We're going to look to, overload that left side. I need you to bomb down and get involved with the 7 and, maybe combine to get forward. You know how to do that. We want you to play left center back in a 4-back set. Work really well with your other center back and kind of stay home. You know how to do that because you've been in those experiences, and I think that's brilliant. Are you with me? There we are.
Hey, coach. Sorry, internet goes and comes.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I was just commenting. I don't know what was heard in there, but I just
No, I heard that different situations of the
yeah,
coach. The
you know
coach
what to
asked
do.
of me that I can fill in, yeah, and
Yeah.
in
So
different positions, yeah.
young players, when you hear something different, that's okay. You have to kind of do what you're coached to do and what your team's mindset is. You've got to get into that, whether you believe in it initially or not, and learn from it and, you know, grow with it. It's not
You
necessarily
know,
a bad thing if it's new, right?
I mean, regardless, it's a team sport anyway. So you have to do what's best for your team. I think whatever the coach asks of you, there are things that coaches see that maybe you don't see, and just because he wants you to play a different position for a certain game, um, you know, I don't think switching, especially at a young age. I think because so many players, so many positions now are like multi-dimensional in terms of you're put in situations during the game that will require different aspects of you. So, for example, if I'm a center back, right, and my fullback has bombed forward and he hasn't recovered in time, and they're on a quick counterattack, I'm going to be at some point in a one-on-one situation wide with their winger, right? So if he asks you to play, if I've played fullback for most of my life, so I know that, right? If you're
That's
a
it.
left back,
It doesn't slide over, right? But I know
yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
So I slide over and I have to deal with that situation,
Mhm.
but I'm used to it because I've played that position before.
Exactly.
Okay, so today coach wants me to play as a winger, and I'm a left back. Okay, I don't want to coach. I'm not comfortable in that position. All right, fine. But as a fullback, at some point, you're going to have to bomb forward. You're going to have to put crosses in, maybe cut inside, take players on one-on-one. It's basically what that position is.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a winger. Coach puts you at left back. No, coach, I don't want to. I don't like defending. All right, but at some point, as a winger, you're going to have to track back. You're going to have to sprint back to help your team defend. It's all very multi-dimensional, So playing different positions will help you get better at your own position as well.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe some of your experience as a forward, as a youngster, might have helped you develop as a defender because they're teaching you one thing as a forward, and now you know what good forwards do to try to unlock defenses or to
I
try
have
to
to counter it. Yeah.
so you just reverse the psychology. I think Boateng, um,
Yeah.
transferred positions and became a back, but was once a forward. And
Yeah. I mean, it's applicable to all the positions. If you're a defensive midfielder, you can play center back. Most center backs these days have to play out from the back. You'll get better at your defensive aspect. You'll be more aware of what's going on. Like, it just, it never hurts to learn something new.
One of the things, and maybe you can help with this. One of the things that I notice in coaching young players is I feel like, because most of the players that I coach are pretty amazing people. I've had this blessed career where I've just been
Yeah.
surrounded with like good people. Um,
Hmm.
so what I'm observing now is a lot of kids, they'll put like pressure on themselves, right? They're like, I see a lot of the people that I coach now. It's, I have 12, 13, 14-year-old girls. I also work with some 14 and 15-year-old boys, but they put a lot of pressure on themselves. I know it's because they want to do well. I think some of it is they might want to like, maybe they want to like impress me or appease their parents, or maybe it's even for themselves. They want to just do well for themselves, but there's a lot of pressure there, right? And so we're learning how to deal with these pressures. And I think you've probably experienced pressure at some point in time in your life, especially now as we're moving up in the ranks, so to speak. There's pressures and things like that you have to deal with. How are you able to deal with those pressures? How are you able to deal with adversity? Maybe I'm thinking back to the Lazio experience when mom kind of pulled you from the team and put you in a situation where you wanted to like play
Yeah.
more, and she knew it was right for you. You didn't like it at the time, but you did it. So
Hmm.
how do you deal with the pressures? How do you deal with maybe coming up a little bit short? And maybe even share some stories or specific events that you went through, and it might help some other people out with how you respond.
I think if you're dealing with yeah, okay, I don't think there's a one size fits all answer to this. I think you have to find what works for you. For me, for example, I think now because at the professional level, there's a lot more external pressure on results. It's your job. There are consequences to winning and losing. There are fans there. There's media to an extent, things like that. I think what helps me always is I developed a game day routine, something that kind of just brings me down, you know, calms me down, something that I do, whether it's a friendly game, whether it's the final of whatever, I do the same thing, just to, so my mind is like, okay, we've been through this before, we've done it before. It's so, it's the same game. It's nothing new to any of us. Obviously, the circumstances of the game are always different. But we do that. I have a superstition.
What is
You
it?
know, I always I go in, and when I'm getting dressed, I always put my right sock and then right shoe on first, and then I'll put my left sock and left shoe on first.
So
I
you're
did it,
putting your foot on your left before you. Okay, I got it.
yeah, everything on my right foot before everything on my left. I did it once when I was developing my routine. When I first thought about, because I'd read about it, so I thought, okay, let's try something here. And it was a semi-final of a seven-a-side tournament. So in Canada, like amateur soccer, you play in the winter. You play seven-a-side indoors, just because it's too cold to play outside, and there aren't enough indoor like 11-a-side fields. So we were playing in the semi-final, and I scored two. I scored two goals, and we won 3-2. And so I was like, okay, this is my thing. Like I have to do it.
Sounds your routine.
Yeah. So I do it all the time. Like my routine, for instance, obviously, if the time allows, usually I'll try to get obviously a good night's sleep. I'll sleep early, and I'll just let myself wake up whenever. I don't set an alarm. Um, and in the morning, I'll just relax. Like I'll try my best not to focus on the game at all. Um,
So how do you do
at
that?
all.
Do you read? Do you exercise?
I'll
Do
watch
you?
movies. I'll watch a series. I'll do whatever, and then the closer it gets, I'll stretch. I have a stretching routine that I like to do to kind of get loose before I leave, and I'll just pace around my room, the house, whatever, just listening to music that really really pumps me up. Um, and then you go to the stadium, and once you're there, you're kind of focused.
Yeah,
Uh,
when you're in home and maybe listening to music, and what are you thinking about? Like, is there
I'm
stuff running
visualizing.
through your head, or is
I'm
it just more
visualizing.
just?
I'm visualizing the game,
Uh,
visualizing myself doing. positive things in the game. I usually
So
do that.
executing, right? Like you're making plays in your head.
Yeah. Um, I I'll watch myself do it. Like I'll visualize watching myself do it, and then I'll visualize like point of view me actually doing it. I think it helps to do it both ways. It's just something that helps me.
So it's like, yeah,
Um,
it's like what you see from your eyes, and then
yeah,
also you watching yourself do it.
exactly.
Both.
Yeah. Hmm.
Interesting.
And then I don't only visualize positive things because I want to be able to deal with something bad if it happens. So I visualize kind of both, maybe a comeback, maybe something like that, or I'll try to think about things that you know, some goals that I want to achieve in this game, something that I've been working on that I want to maybe try, things like that. Sometimes it's just me getting pumped up. Like if I wake up that morning and I'm feeling, for whatever reason, a bit tired, a bit off, just something to get the energy levels up. If the adrenaline is already shooting high, like 7 hours before the game, then I'll listen to something to calm me down.
Yeah,
I think it
classical.
depends on
Yeah,
it depends.
that's good. I'm glad you do that because you might be exhausted at halftime if you've got too excited too early.
Yeah, yeah. It depends on what the day what the day wants. Maybe if I'm not feeling too confident for whatever reason, I've not had a great week of training, or we're coming up against a really good team. Maybe I'll watch like a motivational video and listening to some rock music, something fast paced, something that makes me want to run through a brick wall, that sort of stuff. But that sort of routine is like, okay, we've done this before. This is what happens. And then once it gets to game time, I think this applies to whether it's a trial or you know whether it's just an important training session or whatever. I think it's the most important thing is to focus on the game versus I think what makes us nervous is thinking about consequences of losing or not playing well, or what this could mean if I make this team or whatever. I think you got to let go of all consequences and focus on the next touch. Get this touch right, play the ball. Get this, just try and be as in the moment as you can. And I know it's easier said than done because I've had days also where I'm in the field and so just random songs start popping in my head and I just start thinking around about random things. And then there are also times where I'm very much in the zone and everything feels like you're in cruise control and everything's going well. I think try as much as you can to focus about soccer, about the game itself, about what you have to do, and you'll be fine. Like it's never as bad as you think, and it's never as good as you think either. um just try to be level-headed about it, I think, and just focus on what you have to do.
Yeah. I think the visualization aspect and thinking about scenarios in the game is important. And I like how you you also have some realism going on. You know that not everything is gonna. I can't play the perfect game. I could go about my training. I'm in control of my training. I can go about that in the best way possible. You're also aware that you have to prepare for matches. So you've developed the routine of here's what I'm doing in pregame, here's how I'm going to be successful. But I think the key is as a player, we're not going to so we're really talking about self-awareness, right? You talked about like if you feel a little bit down, you can listen to some music and that's going to kind of bring you up and stimulate what you need to be thinking about in order to prepare. You also commented on if I'm too excited, I'm not going to be listening to high beat per minute type music or stuff that's going to get me too excited because you know that you're going to be exhausted maybe by halftime, maybe a little bit too early, and then you're going to
Yeah,
listen to something that's going to like calm you down. But we are not going to know what to do, I think, unless we're actually putting ourselves there and preparing ourselves in this way for the matches, right? So this is self-awareness. This is you taking yourself through trials over and over and over again of I'm going to play a match on Sunday. Here's how I'm going to prepare to get out there and go do it. And then also learning about yourself and how to adjust to your mood in order for you to maximize your
for
performance.
sure. And again, it's all very personal. What works for me doesn't have to work for you. What worked for Michael Jordan and Tom Brady and Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't necessarily have to work for you. I think when you're going into a high pressure situation, I think it's most important to find what works for you, what makes you comfortable, what gets you down to whatever you need to. Some people, maybe for instance, when I go into a game, and this is just a side example, I don't like to be too full food wise, but at the same time I don't like to feel hungry. I like to be just right. Some people like to feel hungry during the game, makes them feel light. Some people want to have had a really good heavy meal before, that way they feel energized.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love
I
it.
think it's all just find what works for you, find what makes you feel comfortable, find what helps you be successful, and do it. And don't change it when you get to a certain level. Do what you do to get that got you there.
Yeah.
Because it's the same game.
Yeah. This is a perfect segue because I want to get into this a little bit. I know as a professional, you're probably paying a little bit more attention to this. But could you share with everybody what your diet's like, what type of positive impact you've seen a good diet could have, and what you've learned from maybe like how you used to eat and then how do you eat now, and then how that can impact your performance?
Yeah. We'll start this off by saying that the diet is probably one of the most important things, one of the most important aspects of it, because you're training every day with high intensity, high quality, probably sometimes, actually most days twice a day, because you got to get your strength work in there as well. I think, I just don't think it's sustainable if you're eating, a lot of crap all the time. I think it's so important that your muscles recover well, because a lot of days, even when you are eating well and you're getting your sleep, you still feel fatigued, you still feel tired, you still feel sore. And so imagine if you're just eating McDonald's all the time. It's not good.
You're suggesting the food is going to help your recovery.
Yeah, and I think recovery at the professional level is essential, because your job, your livelihood is based on you being able to perform at a certain level mentally and physically on a daily basis, right? So if you're not prepared, if you're not fueling yourself properly, I think it certainly has an effect. I remember in Jersey, I didn't have access to a kitchen, and I didn't have that much money, so I was eating Subway like twice a day on a daily basis and just having like protein shakes. And towards the end of the season, I tore my hamstring, right? So food, hydration is very important. So I'm about to start a new diet tomorrow. So that what that's going to look like is, so for me, I wake up at around 5:30 a.m., 5:36 a.m. Training usually starts at 8. So early in the morning, I don't have, I don't feel like I want to eat too much. So I'll have either a protein shake and some non-fat Greek yogurt.
You're still eating something, right?
Yeah. Some people prefer to train on an empty stomach. For me personally, if I do that, I get dizzy. I can't perform as well as I want to. I feel weak as well. So, I always get something in. Fruit is always good. Before, I think my new diet, I'm going to have a fruit salad with yogurt in the morning before I go to training. After training, super important to eat as well. So I'll come back from training and I'll have my first like proper breakfast, like 3 eggs, some avocado, maybe some turkey sausage.
Love me some avocado. They're safe.
Yeah, good fats, get your proteins in there. And then usually I'll have my second training session. So I'll come back, I'll have my breakfast, maybe take a little nap, and then and then train again. Straight after training, protein shake, and then lunch. It's very similar. All the meals usually consists of some sort of, lean protein, fish, beef, chicken, turkey, with vegetables and a carb. I think carbs are really important.
Energy. You're
Energy.
eating every day, right? So you need the energy.
You need the energy. They're also good for recovery. Protein, obviously, for the muscles, that goes without saying. Dinner is basically very similar to lunch. It's again protein, carbs, veggies in there. I think it's essential. I think,
Fats, right? A little bit of like good
yeah,
fats.
and we're not robots, you know. So I have a cheat day. Used to be twice a week. Now it's just once. Um, just because it used to be twice, and then I remember this off season when I was training to you know to play for the second division club, and so I went there and I felt like I was in the best shape of my life, and there were other I was really like I'd really like pushed myself, and I got there and there were other players that were fitter than me, and so I spoke to my trainer. I was like, this is like what, like why, like I'm really in the best shape of my life. And he said, well, you've reached a top level now. Maybe the best shape of your life isn't necessarily the best shape ever, like you're dealing with a different level now. So maybe the best shape of your life.
Boom.
Yeah,
And it's like, boom.
exactly.
It's like,
And so I took out one of the cheat days and that was just one. But cheat days are important too, because you need, you're eating like a certain amount if you're going to maintain a certain weight.
yeah.
So your cheat day, you kind of like refuel yourself for the rest of the week. I think it's important to have a balance in your diet, but I think just going out and after training and having like McDonald's or all of that stuff is not sustainable.
So you consider diet to be one of the most important things then?
Honestly, coach, I think like
How it's helped you?
for me personally, I think like lifestyle, I think like the easiest part of being a professional football player is actually like playing. Like I think that's the simplest, like we're all talented at it. Like we all know how to play, you know what I mean? Like it's just what makes the difference then at that level. And I think, someone who sleeps at 9 p.m. before a game is going to perform differently to someone who slept at 3 a.m. before a game. Someone who eats clean all week is going to perform differently to someone who eats clean like twice a week. And it's very important. Like again, the whole thing is based on, okay, I need to perform at a certain level physically and mentally every day. So that can't mean I just show up and I just perform. Like it's not magic. Like you have to do things that help you reach that level.
So it's the routine, it's the regiment, it's the program that you're setting up for yourself. And you commented on sleep. On average, how much do you sleep a night?
I'll sleep. Generally, I used to sleep like 9 hours.
Yeah.
Now, because I have to be up at 5:36 to get to training, I'll usually get in like 7.5. I try my best to get at least 8 hours every day. And then if I
asked
don't,
the wrong question, and I cut you off. I'm really sorry. That's rude.
No, it's fine.
So I said a night. I should have asked that question. How much do you sleep per day? And then is it all in one shot, or do you have naps?
If I can, honestly, it depends. It depends on the day. Mostly, I try to get at least 8 hours a night. If after training I feel really, really tired, then I'll sleep for like another hour and a half maybe. And then I'll wake up and I'll do my next session. It all depends. But usually total, I think 9.5 hours is what I'll get in a day. Not always in one shot. If I can get it in one shot, it's fine. I'd prefer that. But sometimes in the middle of the day, if you need to have a nap, so be it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I'm looking into, like, I think especially now with, Tom Brady winning his 7th Super Bowl and people learning about Cristiano Ronaldo's regiments. I mean, I heard when these guys sleep, it's like blackout. Like, it's like they're putting like, like tape over the window. Like there's no light in, and it's like they're gone. Like, and they're trying to get as much REM as they possibly can in that moment so that they can recover better and get ready for the next wave.
Yeah, I try my best. I try my best to also like make a complete blackout. Unfortunately, my air conditioner lets out a little bit of light, But if it's not on, like during the winter, I have blackout curtains, and so it's usually like pitch black.
I gotta try
Um,
some of that. It's been a while, you know.
I try, but yeah, the sleep thing is something that I think most young people might, obviously if you're in college and you have exams and stuff like that, it's a bit difficult. And also now, like, I have to say my friends and my girlfriend aren't. My girlfriend's very supportive, but sometimes I have to leave at like 8 p.m. because I have to go home and stretch before I go to bed. You know what I mean? And so, it is what it is. I think you have to sacrifice a little bit, but you know, it's depends on how much you want to succeed in the end. You get out what you put into it.
All right, Safe. So we've covered a lot of like good stuff here, you know, like a lot of like, I hope that, people are watching this whole thing and kind of getting to know you a little bit, because I love having a connection to you and hearing your story and just how you've
Appreciate that, coach.
progressed. And it's been very like methodical and professional. And I think
Mhm.
it's really good for people to hear your story. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be able to resonate with, you know, you as a human, and then like everything that you've gone through, and it's drawing a nice parallel. So could
Mhm.
you talk a little bit about your current club and what you're doing, and what you like about it? If there's shortcomings, talk about that. If what
Mhm.
challenges you're facing, um, let everybody know where you're at right now in the club that you play for, and the level, and what your goals are, and where do you
Okay.
where do
Yeah.
you see this going, so to speak?
So this season, I was very close to signing with a club called Nugum, which is a club that was playing in the Egyptian Premier League, I think, 2 years ago. They got relegated, and so when they were in the second division, I got an opportunity to go on trial there. And things were actually going quite well. They had new Portuguese coaches that came in, so I went into trial with them. I did quite well. They were impressed. Things were going really well, and unfortunately, I just got injured. I had quite a bad injury. I had a third-degree tear in my hamstring and my LCL, which is the outer ligament in your knee. And I stayed around for a good like 2 months after I was injured as well, recovering at the club with hopes of signing in the January transfer window. Fortunately, I wasn't able to get fit by then, so um, I signed for a fourth division club on the last day, basically of the transfer window. A club called Toot FC. This is a club that just opened. It was newly founded in 2019, and they're coming in hot, man. Like we have goals of being in the second division within the next 2 or 3 seasons. I think the immediate goal right now is to get promoted to the third division. Um, and honestly, the universe has weird ways of getting you where you're supposed to be. I think when I signed there initially, or when that was the plan, it was more of a okay, I don't want to miss out on the whole season thing. The coach there knows me well. It's a bit of a lower level, but it'll be a place for me to get back up and running, to recover, to play games, and to get back into the rhythm of things. And I have to say, I've been extremely, extremely impressed, to say the least, with everything that's going on there. I think the level of professionalism is one of a first division club. Um, we train every day, obviously. The staff is unbelievable. They're all people that, they want to develop us as football players and as a team. There's one, obviously the head coach, and then they have like 5 or 6 assistant coaches,
Wow.
performance analysts. The days after games, we have ice baths, which is I hate them, but they're excellent for recovery. Um, before games, we'll go and have a video session, a team meeting. We'll look at the things that we did badly in the last game, things that we want to correct. And then we'll look at the opposition. What are things that they do well? Where are places that we can exploit? How we're going to play? What the week of training is going to be geared towards? I think last season, I think one of their sponsors was, I think, data collecting company, and so they use some quite advanced technology to keep data on the players, how much they run, how many sprints they take during the game, things like that. It's very organized. The players are, the quality is very high. The training sessions, again, the quality of the training itself is very high. It's all very football based, game situations, things that make us have to solve problems quickly, be creative, and put us in positions that we will be during the game. So I'm very, very happy. I think, for me, it was just, okay, I'm going to stay here till the end of the season, and then maybe look for another place. But, after I've been there and I've spent, some time recovering there, and I've spoken to the coach and I've spoken with the founder, and I see the way things go, I think that this club has a really, really bright future. And, I think, if we get promoted this year, hopefully, which is the immediate goal, that I could, probably stick around, actually.
That's so interesting. And like, I think when you first got into this, you're like, you use the words lower level, right? But you're talking like second division team, and now you're working in a fourth division team. So that's your note of like a lower level.
Yeah.
But you and I both know, and I'm going to, just challenge that. Like, is it lower level, or are you actually like at a higher level now because you're being, like, and it's not a knock on the second division club, but now you're finding the beauty in being trained like a professional, having 5-6 different coaches, really getting into the details of what it means to be a professional. One would argue like maybe you're at a higher level now, and just, and I see this problem all the time where I'm at, and, I know you've got a lot to talk about here. So it's, like A team, B team, maybe the B team is better. Maybe that's going to be a better situation for your development and your growth, and it just sounds like you're in a good spot right now. And I'll just leave it.
I think you have to look at everything, from a personal lens. I did say lower level in terms of divisions. But there's also every possibility that the team in the second division gets relegated and we get promoted, and then we're both in the third division. You know what I mean? I think it's just every club is a good spot for a certain person, and I think I'm happy. Whereas first I was a bit down. I think now I'm very happy with this step. I think it's going to be good for my development. I think, like you said, it's not so much of a lower level now that I've seen the players and the coaching staff and the way things are run. I think the sole reason they're in the fourth division is because they were last year, and that's where you have to start. I think we're, don't want to put too much pressure on the team or on ourselves here. But I think we're all very, very confident and sort of expecting that we're not going to be in the same league next year. That we're going to come out with a championship. I don't want to curse anything, knock on wood, but I think that's sort of the attitude that we have around the club, that we have around the team, the confidence that we carry, because we know that what we're doing is, we know how much effort is being put into the games, into preparing for the games, into improving each individual player. And preparation just breeds confidence, I think.
Without about it. It's I'm really happy for you, Seif. I mean, I've known you for a long time. I know how much you care about football, and I know how much you care about learning and growing, and I know how much you care about your goals. So it's nice to kind of see you in a good spot right now, and you're going to be taken care of, you're going to be educated, you're going to be in a position to grow as a young footballer. So I'm really, really, really pleased. That it warms my soul.
I appreciate that, Coach. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. So we're kind of getting into towards the end here a little bit. I think it's important that we kind of just reflect a little bit on being a young footballer and things like that. Is there anything that you can offer, younger footballers out there? Pinpoint any age group you want, maybe like a turnkey moment in your career, any of them that you've had, because you've kind of moved around, quite a bit,
Yeah.
and had a lot of different good experiences in there, and that has its challenges as well. Any turnkey moments or that you want to talk about, or any advice that you might have for footballers who are younger and have big goals like you have?
Yeah, I think most of the key moments come with me meeting certain people. I think if I can give two pieces of advice, I think the two key pieces to me being where I am right now is the people that I've surrounded myself with, the people that I've met, and work ethic. I think, you know, you can do whatever you want. At the end of the day, you have to be good enough to play at a certain level, and that doesn't just happen by itself. I think you look at the progression of any player. I'll say Mo Salah for an example, just because I'm Egyptian, and he's quite a close example to me. When he was playing in the Egyptian league, he certainly, absolutely not, wasn't at the level that he's at now in any way, shape, or not physique wise, not strength, not speed, not football IQ, not finishing, not dribbling, nothing. Right? It goes step by step, and I think work ethic, as cliche as it sounds, is essential. I think, and I don't just mean that in training. I think uh, in everything, in your lifestyle, how you sleep, how you eat, um, what sort of content you're watching. Do you read at all? When you watch football games, how are you watching the games? Are you analyzing? Are you just watching as a fan? Do you read like sports psychology stuff? Things like that. Are you doing everything you really can do to succeed? I think it's so competitive, and the level is ridiculously high at the professional level, and people are so around it that you need something that's going to separate you, and you need to constantly be evolving, because just because you're at a team today doesn't mean you're going to be at a team in 3 months. So you have to be, because okay, this team needs to win, there are consequences to us losing. If you're not going to help us win, or if we see you as a weak link, we're just going to bring someone. There's no shortage of people that want to play professional soccer, so you have to always keep evolving. So I would say the most important thing from a young age, because I didn't have this work ethic always. I think it started mainly when I was in university, and I wish I had it when I was like 14, 15. Because every year I look back and I think, wow, like I've come so far. If only I had started that 3-4 years earlier, maybe I could have been at a different level. So the work ethic, and then the last thing would be the people you surround yourself with. Now, I've been so unbelievably blessed with the people I've met in my life. My family, my closest friends from Brazil, university, here, my childhood friends, my girlfriend. They all know who they are. They know who they are very well. Um, you know, People that'll support you when you're down, because there are a lot of lows, and they stick with you quite a bit, and sometimes it can be hard to get out of, but the people around you need to be there for you. Also, again, away from my closest friends, the people in soccer. So first of all, we've been on this journey since I've been in 7th grade. We've come quite a long way, both of us, and I always tell you I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. When I was in Brazil, there was a company very similar to SACC. It's called the MVP. It's in Brasilia. The head coach there, Felipe, and a couple of the coaches as well, Renatinho, Hadu, another Felipe as well. These guys were all for me. They were the reason that I played professional soccer in Brazil. They helped me recover from my injury. They always had my back. When I came here, my cousin, who's also my trainer, His name is Marwan, and another guy who's his friend. His name is Mahdi. These two guys, again, people that I look up to, people that I have the most respect for, people that I learn from. They're all like my brothers, and I think separate the work ethic. I think even if the work ethic is there, I think if these people aren't in my life, I don't succeed the way I have done so far, and I don't think I continue to grow. So I think those are the two main things. I think find people that understand you and help you want to become a better person, and then actually go out and put in the work to become a better person, a better player. I think from there, you're on the right track.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I think you've done well to kind of put yourself in that situation, right? Like every day, if you break down a day, we're making several choices throughout the day, and how you position yourself within your day, and those choices that you make and who you decide to put yourself with are so important. But it sounds like you're grateful for the people that you've been in contact with. You've made the most of those relationships. You continue to develop good relationships with new people who you know are going to help you, while staying connected to, maybe people that have helped you get to where you are now, which I think is so important. Like you're not the type of person who's going to, like burn a bridge or anything like that. And you understand the importance of, hey, maybe even this isn't perfect, but we can work together to make each other better. And then, looking at everything in a positive light and building. I really want to compliment you on how you've positioned yourself, and the relationships that you've created with people, because I think it's been really beneficial for you.
I appreciate that, Coach, but I don't think, again, I can take credit for that. I think I've been shaped by the people that I've been around. I don't think it's something that was naturally there. I think meeting you at a very young age set the base, and to how we work, how we think, that ambition, and then meeting other people very similar to you. I think that's what shaped me, and so I'm definitely grateful for the people that I have in my life, for sure.
Thanks, buddy. I'm grateful for you too.
Love you, Coach.
Love you too, man. Love you too. So that's fantastic. Now that you brought a tear to my eye here, we can anybody that you go ahead and share with everybody your information, your details, maybe how somebody can kind of reach out to you and ask you questions. Yeah, guys, please feel free to reach out to myself or Seif. I think that you should probably reach out to Seif though, because he is the athlete and the professional soccer player right now. Seif, give people information about your details, and how they can.
So you can find me on Instagram at seif.roushdy. So seif.roushdy. Feel free to shoot me a message or anything. I'll be more than happy to answer and help anybody out there with any questions you have. And thanks for having me on, Coach. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm glad hopefully this helps a few people, and maybe we'll do it again in the near future.
Yeah, no, Seif, it's so good to hear your voice and to see you and just to share a conversation. And like you said, hopefully what we talked about today helps people out. Thanks so much for taking the time to come on. And guys, thank you so much for listening. We look forward to kind of fielding some questions here. So we'll see you soon, Seif. We'll be in touch.
Yep, of course.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how you progress over there at the team, and continue to stay in touch with you on your journey.
Of course. Thanks so much, Coach.
Love you, buddy.
Love you, Coach.
See ya.